All right. All right. So just a quick intro. My name's Alfred, and he'll introduce himself as Roberto. We do work together, and it's been a few months now. You've seen videos of us just kind of having retrospectives here to talk about how things are going. So, Roberto, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Roberto Gongora. We have worked together for a few years now, and we are just exploring the new world of AI and the shift of the paradigm between coding and relying more and more on these amazing tools.
Yeah. And the reality of it, honestly, is like I like having these because I hear you're doing a lot, and I see what you're doing for our customer, yeah, customer, and I get like impressed because I'm like you're really cranking it out. So I'll skip to that particular topic first. Like I see you're doing a lot of work. So we do a lot of again, I mentioned this word legacy, and but it's a Laravel PHP system, and I call it legacy because we're struggling to integrate a lot of the more modern tools into it. Now, but you're doing really well because I see you deliver some nice UI elements, and it's view inertia. So how is that going for you now? This much time in, now that you had time to think about all this stuff going on, how's it going for you there?
Having a lot of more like hands-on experience just working with the cursor IDE now,
Yeah,
knowing how the context works when dealing with AI agents, it's went from like just asking it like, please fix
I
this,
know. Yeah,
and getting not so great results to actually like hammering it down and sending specific like bits of context for either the files or like the entire folder of a feature, and it
yep,
just being able to scan the code base as you would if you were doing it yourself,
yeah,
and then like also giving it proper documentation for what you're asking
yeah,
and not relying on the training data that they have is also
yep,
key,
yeah.
I would say. And that has improved a lot of the results that we have been getting out of being able to practically translate one interface framework from another just by being like, hey, this is how it looks. Here's a screenshot. These are my goals, and just go.
Yeah.
And like not only asking it to do it, but also like using the rules and memory for the long-term options, and so
Yeah,
it
good point.
doesn't look context,
Yeah.
and just being able to go back and read like first make a plan and then like let's go like step by step, and that's really helped a lot, and it's changed like how to work with them and not just rely on them to do everything. So you
Yeah.
still have to take control and be the one who is guiding these tools rather than just thinking that they will get it
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. What model do you find yourself using, or do you just leave it in auto mode and let it do its thing?
This is funny because previously I relied a lot on Cloud Sonnet 3.5, then I went to
Yeah.
3.7,
Yeah.
but I have been using a lot of O4 Mini,
Ah.
and
Ah.
everyone doesn't like it because it's very slow, and it is, and it likes to like
That's
think
interesting.
for a very long time. But
Yeah.
at least to get like the actual implementations done, the fact that it reasons a lot helps it. I have been trying out also Gemini Pro 2.5,
Yeah.
and I
2.5.
find that the sometimes O4 Mini beats the results that I get from Cloud or from Gemini, sorry.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure if it's because of how I prompt it and how it just plans and everything. Yeah, recently I have
Ye-
been trying, yeah, the UI stuff is still Cloud. So I
Yeah.
often just switch when I have the backend
Oh,
and
good
I want
point.
to do the front end, I just switch to Cloud Sonnet and have
Yeah.
it because
Is that
neither of those,
is that
yeah.
3.5 or 3.7?
3.7, well,
Yeah. Okay.
4 now.
Yeah. 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 So, and your point about, yeah, we're still having to guide the car more than we thought, the AI, sorry. And I was going to, transition to my thinking there. It's like autonomous driving. We're still having our hands on the wheel.
Oh yeah, the
But I mean, and we hear a lot of hype. You see a lot of people doing these one-shot prompts, and I get it. But in the day-to-day, I think what you're saying, I do a lot too, is where I say, here's the rule I want you to use, and I drag it over. Here's the markdown file that explains the feature. Here's some images. Let's go. Like I really try to confine it to the particular files that represent what I want. And then I save those as history because it's a feature. So it's a file that represents the feature that we're working on. So next time I come back to it, I'd be like, here's that feature, remember it? But it's a lot of like keeping it on Rails. And I guess the thing is, like, it seems like sometimes more work than if I coded it, but then I got to say no because I'm feeling less of this kind of like tedious work friction or wear and tear that I got from before AI, where I would code every migration and every test and everything. And by the end of a day, I'd be worn out and get X amount done. Where now by the end of the day, I'm not as worn out, but I got X times 10 done, or more than I could ever imagine before. So yeah, I still think it has value there. Um, the so I see you're doing well there with the UI and all that stuff. So that's good to hear. And you're using Cursor still for the most part.
Yeah, for the most part.
It's funny
Tried,
because
I tried a new PHP Storm Juni agent,
oh my gosh, yeah.
but it's still not there.
Well, and the thing I was going to mention too, well, you base like some of it's just the tab completion we get out of Cursor, where even that's like, hey, I just made a migration file. Oh, it just filled in all the things for me. But the
Yeah,
thing with Cursor versus Windsurf versus whatever, it is still a tool that I'm realizing if I can master it, I'm better off than mastering it in Windsurf in Klein, right? So I am kind of sticking to it for a moment. But though then you have Codex coming out with and Jules coming out with the a different paradigm where they're doing pull requested or drive, which might be the future because now imagine you have 10 projects and we become more of a supervisor of multiple agents doing stuff versus
exactly.
having 10 cursor windows open. I have 10 pull requests going and I'm just checking in or they're emailing me or slacking me that they're done.
And I think it's like dependent on the thing you're doing, because it's not the same working on a feature that you are like very hands-on and you are like modifying one line
Yeah.
versus asking like a background agent to update the Laravel version. And you
Yeah.
don't necessarily need to be approving every single line of code, just like
Yeah.
give me a PR and that's it.
Yeah.
Or if you're working on a new feature that you're not really invested or it's like a whole new feature, so
Yeah.
a PR might be better than approve and read like 25.
Yep. No, no, it's interesting because the PR becomes that particular rule or markdown or whatever you made to help lead it, and then you see where it goes. It's just a
Yeah,
different interface. I mean, we'll see what
yeah,
happens. AI updating things is a good one. You could easily have that agent do that, and then obviously the test or whatever would verify. Yeah, it's a good one. Well, the next thing, which is actually one of the first things I want to talk about, but we skipped it, is like, okay, you want to, let's go back to the AI tooling and stuff. You want to talk about vibe coding. What do you want to talk about there?
it's I see more and more videos of people just like being amazed by coding, and it's not that it's not useful, but misses the point sometimes that you still need to know what you're doing to understand what the result of the bytecode agent did. Because then there's a famous tweet now that a guy was building in public vibe coding, and then someone just like injected things into his app and basically hacked it, right? So
Yeah,
if you're not aware of what you're doing, you will not see those holes in your application. And even though the result might look
yeah,
fine,
yeah,
it's a bit like a slippery slope.
yeah. But I think you're being short-sighted. Okay, listen. I can name 10 developers, including myself, who have built crap that gets hacked, that can get hacked, that we forget something,
Of course,
public
yeah,
buckets, authentication not done, or whatever, right? Like to have a person who, like, I know what you mean. You got to know what questions to ask, but in the end, that's only because the tooling hasn't gotten up yet, right? So, and I know Lovable is not a great example because I get stuck on it all the time and I've kind of stopped using it, right? But if you can get that tooling to say, I'm a business owner, I understand my domain, I want to build this thing that quickly helps somebody find the best vacation spot for them, whatever the stupid thing is. Not stupid, but the simple. You should be able to just do it. And I think what you're saying right now is the vibe coding can sometimes guide you in the wrong way or leave out these details, right?
it can get you like too much in the weeds, I guess. Instead of creating more and more, when you
Yeah.
have a problem, that's when
Yeah.
it becomes like tricky to solve, because yeah, how do you fix something that you don't even understand, right?
Right, right.
But yeah, I do agree that it's great for prototyping probably, and getting stuff out and working and usable.
Yeah.
But yeah, it reaches a point where if you only vibe coded and you don't understand like the basics of what you're doing or the programming paradigm,
Yeah.
then you
Yeah.
get like 1,000 files with 10,000 lines of code, and then even the AI agents are unable to understand
Yeah.
what they're
Well,
looking
I
at,
know,
right?
but
So
you've seen like that happen. You've seen some projects we've tried to take over that are just that. I had one recently, and I just said to the product, the business owner, I'm like, listen, I really want you to build this on your own because I want you to have that power and experience, but try building less, right?
exactly.
And so these moments, these tools are like they want you have so much fun that you're building all these complex interfaces only to realize you didn't need them, and now they're harder to plug into the database or whatever.
Yeah.
I think, but I think again in time though, like I don't agree with you in the sense of like I think the fact that you still think you need to understand things at the code level. It's like, listen, I go into my car, I drive. I don't know how engines work. I don't know how that anything. I mean, when I was younger, we'd had to shift. We had to change our oil. Like things evolve, and we're
It's
gonna get
it's
to
it's
this place where
exactly.
none of that matters.
Yeah,
So
exactly. It's just a matter of time because, like you said, when we went from manual to automatic, we had a
yeah,
lot of people like crapping on automatics and being like, no, that's not
right. I
driving.
know. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And
That's
and,
not.
and, and same with self-driving, right? Right now we have to be like this on the
Yeah,
wheel before
yeah,
it gets actually good,
yeah.
that people will no longer remember that people actually grabbed the steering wheel, right? So it's
I think that's where it's heading, and I think your analysis of vibe coding is true, but it's not the solution isn't to know more about coding. It's to kind of bank on the fact that these tools are going to catch up. I mean, I think it's surprising they haven't already because it doesn't take much to have another AI checking the results of that code to make sure it's secure or not. I just think it's interesting that the AI the IDEs aren't doing that already, but we'll see what happens there. I mean, that could just be. But no, I know what you mean about vibe coding. I have a few videos when I got stuck. I'm like, hey, here's me doing lovable. Oh, here's me stuck. Here's me done. So when I use Cursor a lot to build things, even though it lacks that magical moment where I just get something out of one prompt, I still have to work hard at it. But not as hard as coding, but harder than I wish I could. When I watch those videos and people vibe code their way to a product, I'm like,
and
oh,
it's a two-sided blade because when it works, you
yeah,
just get like into a flow state and you're just typing away
yeah,
and getting results, and,
yeah,
and it's
yeah,
very good because even though you are not actually coding, you are still programming because
yeah.
the prompts in your head are basically the instructions you want the computer to achieve, right?
It's like when painters said, "You don't mix your own paint. You're not a real painter." It's like whatever. It's like you're creating, you're building.
Exactly,
And as a business owner, you're putting your product out there, your idea that you think is worth it. I mean,
exactly.
yeah, I think you know those people who still want their standards and feel the engine and everything. Yeah, they will always exist, but I think all this stuff is heading in that other direction. All right, so well, there's three or four other topics here to talk about. So one is one of our struggles with supporting systems like Laravel that are older systems in our case is we didn't use, I'm really enjoying Superbase and I'm pushing that everywhere because we get a database with real-time events, with storage and everything intertwined so that we get out of the box authentication and everything. And we don't have that right now at Laravel, so we're using it as almost like a queue system that takes jobs and processes them with N8N. So we've been shifting our workload from code that way, but we still have to sit in Laravel and build UIs and build little backends that then say, go put this in the queue for Superbase or what we're calling a queue right now. So that's been kind of I know I complain about it a lot. Like, what do you like? How has that been going for you having the two worlds?
It's a bit complicated to go from the N8N and fully automated world of just creating
Yeah,
a trigger and have it just magically work and everything just
yeah,
connects beautifully, and
yeah,
then go back to the Laravel
yeah,
installation and have to actually do polling and querying and state management,
yeah, yeah,
and everything
yeah,
would be solved if the Laravel application was able to connect directly to Supabase, then probably would be like the best of both worlds,
yeah.
but that's not the case right now.
And when we say
And
connect, we mean beyond the Postgres moment. We're talking like it should be able to connect to it at the well, we can connect it at the storage level with S3.
exactly.
We could connect it at the we just can't connect it to the real time events level, so we're always polling for things. I mean, we got a ways to go. We have some ideas on how we can, but you're also seeing, and this kind of goes into the other topic where we've been shifting our workload into N8N. So, like yesterday, and I have to talk to you today about it after, is like the customer wanted us to import these three different things, and we're like, holy crap, it's done and within no time, other than a server issue we had, right? Like, like that would have been just days and days and days of different coding and back and forth in QA. And now we're like, hey, not only have we imported all this, here you go, you can see it in your Google spreadsheet so they can really understand it and then approve the data structure. Like those moments are like, wow, you just realize, forget AI for a moment, just AI has nothing to do with this stuff too. It's like this is N8N saying, thanks for the spreadsheet. I'm going to go iterate. I'm going to go save it to the database, and boom, it shows up in their Laravel application like magic. What do you are you? How's your N8N been going for you? Like, what has your experience has been lately?
I'm getting more and more used to it now, and having worked more on the export things and just ingesting data.
Yeah.
And the thing that still eludes me or overwhelms me is when I first get into like a big workflow and I just get like the screen with a lot of connections and loops,
Oh,
and
I know.
it's a bit hard to grasp like where
Yeah.
to even begin looking. And I think
Yeah.
that's one of the weaknesses of NXN or platforms like that it's not really clear where is the step one, step two, and step three. And I guess that's more of the nature of that visualization method.
No, no, no. It also is like you're looking at my spaghetti mess, right? You just
No,
never saw it in code because code is more
no,
there. The code, every file is like a node, and it just doesn't have any connection.
structured.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
but
you ever watch those N8N videos where they have it nice and organized and they have their little notes?
no, yeah, and that's what I was gonna say, that even it's not that your particulars or my particular workflow are spaghetti code. It's just that at least for me, the way that the mind mapping works, I can make them the most beautifully aligned and straight lines and everything. But if I get to work on something else and I come back to it, I will just forget everything.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
when I see it again, I'm like, okay, here we go
yeah,
again, and let's
yeah.
just
Right.
ingest this and absorb it again. So I think that's one of the low points for me right now.
But think about that though. That like it's an interesting point. I don't disagree with you at all. But the scale of ingestion is like anytime I walked up to anyone's code, including my own, a few months later, I'm like, what the? And so all of it takes a moment to ingest and to see it all right there, to see past executions, at
Mm.
least makes the ingestion moment, I think, a little bit more bearable.
No, and the good thing is that since we know how AI, what I have been doing is actually downloading the entire workflow or just parts of it
Yeah.
and feeding it into Cursor or whatever and be like,
Yeah.
hey, explain this. And
Nice.
then I just get like a step by step, like action
Nice.
instructions of this node does this and this is how data
Yeah.
flows. And it's like, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's not like the end of the world, and you can do the same with code. Like I actually do it. Like I just get in and I'm like, please explain this class because it's very long, and method, but by method I get like a very short explanation.
Yeah. No, that's a good
So
point.
it,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
so it's not a problem anymore, and yeah, I just
What are
think
some
that,
things you've built recently in N8N that have blown you away or impressed you or made you want to go back to code? Like, has there been anything experiences lately that have been like, oh,
well, the yes, the we had to do some SFTP checks if something was on a folder, and then grab it.
yeah,
And since NA doesn't have all the nodes and you have to basically code it yourself, when you get to the code, it's like, oh, I can just use JavaScript or whatever. And that's like a false hope at some times, because it's not that you just use code and that's it. You have to actually interface with the nodes and your workflow. And sometimes like just the syntax for NXN, it's not very clear or easy to grasp. Like when do you use node
yeah,
first versus node item versus node data
last.
JSON? And
Yeah,
and I understand it's just a matter of getting used to it, but then it's not like it's a set language or a set thing. It's an application that can change over time. So
yeah,
what if in version 2.0 of N8N they decide to change how their entire structure of
yeah,
data works, and then you
yeah,
have to relearn, and I mean that's true for everything.
I know. I was
But
gonna say you're also
you
saying everything we've ever gone through with every version of everything we've ever used, right?
yeah, but it's not the same as for example using a stable version of PHP 8.4, 8.2 or
Yeah, but
whatever.
everything's stable till it's not. Like, look at
Yeah,
you go from eight whatever to eight whatever. You're like, oh crap, I have to fix this particular thing that now no longer works. I mean,
yeah,
it's the classic moment of like trusting long-term support versus just updating, right? But I think though we had a server at 1.7, and I think it was that one that we upgraded to 1.9 with no trouble. So I saw
yeah.
we have
That
evidence of just yeah. The I mean, you helped me yesterday with pagination, and I learned there how to do that better. So that was good too to see that and how easy that was, but
and
not
that's
easy because I had to
yeah.
learn that particular thing that you showed me with the request thing. You know.
Yeah, and that's one of the biggest advantages of an event that, like you said, like you can just get in and do the thing, and in 5 minutes you have a usable,
Yeah.
working
Yeah.
solution versus relying on code and have to probably use the debugger and
Yeah.
and,
Yeah.
and change and deploy and test.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah. So no, I mean it makes sense what you're saying overall. And again, working together, like I have something to throw at you today, and it's like it's going to be easy because you can now take over my N8N versus taking over my crazy code or whatever. You know.
yeah.
So one of the last things I want to touch on, I think, because I think we've hit everything, is well, no, we'll give the other one a moment too. I did what I consider my first agent. And so basically, on recalls now, every day, maybe every hour, it searches the news to see if there's any new recalls. But the agent has to be smart enough to say, is this a pressing thing? Should we write a news article about it? And so, and if it assumes it is, then it will write and post. If it assumes it's not, then it will just skip and try again in an hour or the next day. So that was an interesting moment of actually making this thing, make a decision without my interaction. Versus I have another automation because they're not agents. It's funny, agents to me aren't things that just run every hour. They should have some type of choice making, right? And so the particular things that run every day to just scan the net for recalls is nothing. But to have one that chooses whether this is a newsworthy one is the first agent I think I've built that really does some self thinking or self makes a choice. So I don't know. Have you had any luck with agents at all, like real ones that do that type of stuff?
Haven't really built one yet, but I do want to build one that uses my local LLMs,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
still using like tunneling and a live
yeah,
N8N installation.
yeah,
But for example, just decide, for example, if I send a prompt or something, a note that I want to store, and you know that my is turned on, then
yeah.
use my local element. If
Oh,
not,
yeah.
then use ChatGPT or Cloud or whatever. I
That's a
mean,
nice
that's
idea.
still like a very simple if statement.
Well,
But then
you don't even need an if statement. Just give the AI agent two tools. One of them is your
yeah,
local, and say, hey, try to use it. If it doesn't work, go to the other one.
exactly. That's
Yeah,
practically it.
yeah,
So I
yeah.
want to
That's a nice
experiment
idea.
with that, and just to the thing that I want to make is like a tool to create plane tickets. So we can just
Yeah,
type it and have it summarized and everything nicely.
yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah,
And it would make a. Oh, I know you mean plain the ticket system.
the
Oh
yeah
my
the
goodness.
Jira.
Are you gonna fly somewhere? What are you doing?
Oh, no, no, no.
So no, that's a good one, and it would be nice to have more of an agentic system around playing the ticket system because right now I think we're missing out on that. Like it should remind us every day what's going on today. Daily
Yeah,
summary.
and the agentic like flow is not, for example, I just want to say I have this issue with this particular feature, and then it automatically knows, okay, it's for this client, for
Yeah,
this
yeah,
particular project, in this
that was a
particular.
good one.
So yeah,
Well, and think about like we should we both. I am not a manager type because I just get it's just boring. But if we made that AI assistant go look at plane and be like, "Hey guys, this is what's on the radar today," it would be fun, to have it do
yeah.
that for. So now that you mentioned local LLMs, we can talk about the last subject. Is you were we brought up Linux and Windows before this. What are you running local LLMs on if you don't have a Mac? What are you running them on?
Do you mean the hardware or the software?
The hardware.
I built a new PC just for
Great.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I have a lot of RAM and a lot of a beefy GPU.
What's the GPU?
It's an RTX 5090.
Jeez. Yeah.
So I could fit like even
Nice.
like 32 billion
Wow.
parameter LLMs, and I have
How
been
much
trying it,
memory
and
on the thing?
it's 32 gigabytes
Wow.
of
Jeez.
VRAM.
Wow.
Yeah,
You went all out.
and it's been really fun just to experiment and build really nice
Yeah.
things with very intelligent models.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you think though? What do you think about, your Linux versus we mentioned Windows. Like what do you think is still about Linux as your driving desktop?
It's more efficient with the resource management. For example, it doesn't use as much GPU RAM to just
Okay.
display the desktop. So
But
I
listen,
can,
listen, listen. It's more efficient with resources as a desktop because it can't do a lot of things. Like, but maybe it can. And last time I tried it, I felt like it was still having trouble with snaps or whatever. Like video recording, desktop recording. Like, it's more efficient with these things. But are you feel like you still have everything you need kind of thing?
I do. And for example, the good thing is that it is like a challenging at first when you, for example, want to share your screen and you don't know why it's not working. But but then when you get it and you understand why, it's like, and it's just like you have to install this package, and that's it. And it doesn't work because it's like a new protocol or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, it can get tricky, but I don't know. It's rewarding also to be able to turn on and off certain features of your operating system that you don't need, and
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
save save you some headaches that way. And I
Yeah.
haven't had any issues with my audio lately.
Yeah. But you mentioned Windows. Were you thinking of Windows the desktop for a bit, or what are you thinking there?
Yeah, just because I'm seeing all the cool things that NVIDIA is doing with
Right.
Windows,
Good
and
point.
I believe the only or the main reason that this is the case right now, at least, is because the drivers for NVIDIA in Windows are much better than Linux, so they can do more stuff with CUDA and all that internal stuff.
Yeah, but listen. Microsoft is so focused on AI that they
Exactly.
have the Recalls app. They soon are having
The
a AI
Foundry,
to take over your desktop to do
yeah,
things.
yeah,
Like when you watch Manus AI, it's using a Linux desktop. So obviously Linux can be used to drive a lot of the stuff, right? But but Windows, I mean Microsoft is really putting a lot into their AI layer on a desktop that I think is the next level of user interactions with everything, right?
yeah.
And Linux will never get there because they'll put their arms up about privacy and B, I don't know. It seems like they focus so much on just a good looking desktop that they in privacy that they just get stuck there where they don't want to take that daring step that Microsoft is taking to make an
Yeah,
amazing AI experience potentially, you know.
yeah, and the focus, laser focus that Microsoft has on being like one company achieving one result versus the open
Yeah.
source community, that
Well, I know.
it's not that they can't do it, but there's just too many opinions on how to do the same thing, that instead of
Yeah,
focusing on one, we get like 400,000 window
I know.
managers and,
Mint,
and, and, and everything.
Ubuntu, Red Hat, yeah, Fedora. I mean,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I
So
mean, I'm more excited by what Windows is doing or Microsoft is doing with all the AI on top of Windows, and then the Linux layer with WSL means you get everything, not everything, but
yeah,
you get a sense of Linux.
and
So
now
yeah.
it sounds like it's gonna get better since they open source it, so
Oh
more
yeah, that was
people
a good
can
point too.
come in and improve it. So
Yeah.
I might try it. I just defaulted to Linux because
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah, yeah.
wanted to try Olama and all the local LLMs, and then
Yeah.
knowing that Windows just will use a lot of the RAM and resources just to drive the
Gosh.
desktop.
No, it's not that bad, dude. I run Windows better on 4 gigs than Linux, so.
No, I mean, yeah. And I'm having some issues too in Linux too because I'm running Hyperland, and it's like a very GPU driven
Yeah,
window manager.
yeah.
So just using it consumes like 500 megabytes of the VRAM on my
Wow,
GPU, so
for
it's not. It's
32 gigs of VRAM.
yeah, but if only the model itself takes like 28 gigs, then everything counts.
Yeah. Well, I think the models might get smaller as they become more focused on things. But I don't know if you heard about the recalls on the Windows desktop. Did you hear about that feature?
Yeah,
I mean, like,
everyone
that's really
hates it,
cool.
but
Whatever. So,
I actually want it
yeah,
because I'm
people
like,
love hating, okay? Like, but
yeah,
when you think about it, like I'm always looking for stuff. And if I could be like, hey, where was I last time I did this? And it's like, here you are.
exactly. That
Yeah.
that's like a godsend to me. Like just
Yeah.
being able to ask it, like, what was I looking at 10 minutes ago because I just forgot, and where's the tab, and it
Yeah.
reliably tell me, oh, here it is, and here's the site.
Yeah.
It sounds amazing, and I wish there was a solution for that, like in Linux.
Yeah, you can make one. You can make one. I was trying to do it on the Mac. It's not that hard. It's just a bunch of screenshots with then AI processing.
Yeah, I guess it's feeding it the screenshot, then asking it to summarize what it sees, or
Yeah,
keep track of.
proactively vectorizing the screenshots. It would be a fun
Exactly.
project, but who has
Yeah,
time anymore?
exactly.
All right, so that covers about everything. I mean, as we head into month whatever, we'll say month 6 of our year of really working in AI in 2025. I know there's been a lot of hype and a lot of whatever. Do you feel like if you were to like measure every retrospective, do you feel like we're still on an up curve? Do you feel like your sense of direction is leveling off, or do you think your sense of direction with where this stuff is going down? What would you say?
I would say the hype's still going,
Yeah,
and every time that there's a new model, it's really exciting to just see what it can do
yeah,
and in what areas it improves. And
yeah.
I think it's very interesting to see the new models, both from OpenAI, Google, and Anthropic,
Hmm.
like be dropped and be this like huge wave of excitement, but be very focused on our side of the our industry. Basically, it's more for programmers, more for coding, rather
Yeah,
than maths or science or
yeah,
language
yeah,
or whatever. So that they are focusing very heavily on coding. So that's
yeah.
exciting. But yeah, I think that the hype is strong and it just
How about
democratizes.
you though? How about
Yeah.
yours? Like, forget the hype of like them selling us stuff. Like, do you feel like your day to day is still changed? That tools like AI in it are still making you more and more productive? Or is your sense of it going to less productive? Like, like we had this vision 6 months ago of like it doing everything. And now, like we said a moment ago, we still have to steer it and keep it in focus. Like, do you feel like it's still going in a upwards direction of automation and ease, or do you feel like it's hit a point of like it can't go further, or do you feel like it's going down?
It's definitely going up still, not
Yeah.
as like a
Yeah, the
steep curve,
hockey stick. Yeah, yeah,
but
yeah.
it definitely feels better now. Now that we have more understanding on how to use these tools and not
Good point.
just think of them as replacements, more of as additions or super ways to supercharge ourselves. And we don't stop coding or we don't stop programming. We just use these tools to elevate or augment or
Yeah, yeah.
understanding of things, and because it's very rewarding to use new technologies as fast as we do now without having to spend like 2 weeks just
Oh,
learning
good
and
point. Good point.
reading a
Yeah, yeah.
book, reading docs, watching videos.
Yep.
It's not like immediate, so it's very good. And yeah, I feel very like more confident in my abilities to
Oh, good
deliver, for
point.
example,
Yeah.
a new front end page or something
Yeah, you've been
that then
crushing it. Yeah, yeah. That now you
yeah
have the
that
confidence. No, it's a good point. Yeah,
and before I was like I
yeah.
know front end and I worked on Tailwind stuff in the past, but I don't really specialize
No,
on it. And now
no.
I'm like, yeah, sure, like
No,
it's no
same with the
problem.
database query. So I would have to
Yeah,
say a little bit more up than you in the sense of like, yeah, I know what you're saying. It's not, we're finally to a place where we know we can't just throw the magic prompt at it. Like you said, we have to still drive it. But I do think it is getting better, but I do think it's not. When I watch all those videos, and there's a lot of good ones, but I don't get that same one prompt solution moment yet with the stuff we're doing. So, but it's still going up for me. And N8N has gone endlessly up because it consistently is just doing stuff that I don't have to do and I can just kind of be done. So, all right. I mean, that's a good retro. We'll be back in a month or so and we'll talk some more and see how it's going. All right.
yeah,
Let me
exciting.
kill the recording. Thank you.